Okay, so we're just coming to the end of this interview right now, and we're just going to change direction a bit because what we're going to do is we're just going to go away and come back, and I'm going to have a sacred wealth code reading as a demonstration for the audience on what you'll get. So we're just going to take a quick break now, and we're going to come back, and this will be filmed a number of hours later. And we're going to go over that sacred wealth code reading together.
So if you came to me for a sacred wealth code reading, most of the time people are wanting to create more wealth, not necessarily money. It's very different for each and every one of them, but wants to create more wealth. Some people will tell me things like, well, I just want more freedom. Oh, like I want to start my own business. Oh, like I really want to put my kids through school. Oh, well, I really want to travel the world, or I want to be able to hire a new team for my company. They're usually something. So I'm just curious right now for yourself, what is it that you want to create more wealth for?
I think it's probably simple, just to have my own independence, and to have my own house, and to have the financial freedom to set up the ISNN, and to it's got to be one thing, hasn't it? Really, it's got to be focused on one thing, hasn't it?
No. You're fine, and I'm going to tell you in your reading why you can't focus on one thing anyway. So it's okay.
Yeah, I think it would be to have a base of operations in the US, and to be doing something that's more in the direction of a news output. I think.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Okay.
That's good. That's good. And let me just ask you one more question. Well, that's okay. I'll ask you that on air. And then, what do you believe is your biggest challenge right now as far as creating all that?
It's really, it almost stopping what I am doing, and just doing that. Even on my YouTube platform, just making that type of content. Yeah, it just feels almost like time to pull the plug. But it's funny because I do have another website called channeling.com, and that's a reader's platform which is going to start this year at some point, sooner than later. It's almost finished off. Just want to add that. So I don't really know where the ISNM fits in with everything just right now. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I'm not really making much sense because
That's okay. I'm gonna help make sense out of
yeah,
all this to the best of my ability. But what I do want to know is, um,
not very fulfilled in what I'm doing right now.
I totally get
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
why I
yeah,
almost yesterday, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have done the interview if we couldn't have come to a place where this was going to do anything for you to begin with, because I'm not going to waste anyone's time, and I don't have the time to waste. Then I
yeah.
totally get you're not fulfilled, and it sounds to me, actually we should just start doing the reading, because then I can just go. So anyway, I just pulled up your website of the channeling .com. Awesome. And then you also have your documentary you're working on, correct?
2 documentaries right now. Yes, yeah, 2 of them. Yeah.
And so one of them is the channeling one, and what's the other one?
Oh, the other one's richardbaldwinmovie.com. Um, just another one in the background that I'm working on.
What is that one about?
Um, uh, a murder and ufology. Yeah. It's really it's about the first documentary of its kind to look at discernment within our community. It's one of the first, and that's just an ongoing project right now that I'm just working on it
Okay.
in the background. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. Let's just okay. Let's just rock and roll now. We're good.
Okay.
Alrighty. So It's really an honor and a pleasure to be able to do your Sacred Wealth Code reading for you. I do different kinds of readings, but the Sacred Wealth Code reading really helps you to understand, again, what your highest value gifts are, like we've been talking about in our discussion today. And so the first thing after you gave me your birth date and information is I looked at your chart and put together for you your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes, and those got sent off to you. And in those descriptions, that's the first step in you starting to tap into really where are your highest value gifts. And of course, that comes with a training and a meditation. So, and it's something that I help people unpack over a period of time. But now we get to dive in, answer questions. This is a conversation between us. But I do want to give you some deeper insight about where I see your gifts. And let's just also be clear that whenever I'm sitting in this position, I'm always doing my best to get out of the way and let come through whatever is most useful, of the highest service for you at this given time, because we could talk all year about you and all the wonderful things and all the challenging things that are wired up in you and that you're facing and that you're going to come into soon. So I do understand from you that one of the things that you do want is to create more wealth for us, because I always ask everyone this, is, you're wanting more independence. There's, you want more freedom. There's projects that you want to create, and even your own home. And so when we go underneath all of that, my sense is for you is that, on a core level, you want a deeper level of freedom. You want the wealth that gives you the freedom to do what you want, create what you want, be where you need to be, and serve in the way that you want to serve, but also have that sense of security and enjoy your life as well. Am I tracking with you? Okay. And I can totally relate, because wealth means freedom to me at a core level. And even means that I can give my time where I want to give my time. I mean, really at every level. And so you have one of the really unique things that you have in your soul blueprint, in your Vedic astrology chart, is that you have a lot of planets in one place. And when we have that, it brings so many different areas of life that intersect, that sometimes we do have a lot going on, and it's hard to know, or it's like, well, there isn't just one thing, there's many things, and you're involved in many things, and that's very indicative of how you're wired up. But in order to make some forward momentum, like we were speaking about in our discussion, we can't just be like a floodlight, right? We've got to be like a laser beam somewhere, and sometimes it takes maybe being a laser beam in one area for a little while, and then you can switch to another area, because things take a bit of energy to get up and going. So I want to first say that you have this beautiful combination in your sacred wealth archetypes, which is the regal, organizing, the communicator, the honorable warrior, and the artist. And the reason why it's regal and organizing, it's where it happens to be in your chart, and it happens to be part of the planetary influence that's not connected to your wealth code, but it all influences everything. But you have this, and when I say regal, like you do need to be seen for your work. Not everybody does. Some people are behind the scenes type people. You're not. You're interestingly behind and in front of the scenes. Well, it is all your work, and you're not going to be happy having somebody else like with a lot of their fingers in your work, although you do need to be able to have a team, and you need to be able to let go of some things in order for you to be able to have the momentum to move things forward, which means letting go of control. We all have control, but and of course we have to have the trusted people that we give our that come in to work on with our life mission and our brilliance as well. But you do need to be able to let go a little bit more, so you can bring some other expertise in that you make sure are in alignment with you. No one comes onto my team unless this body of work and what I'm about makes sense to them and is inspiring to them, and that would be the same, for you. They'd have to really be, part of the mission. But you're definitely spread a little too thin, and you've actually, I want to say, it started about 3 years ago. You've kind of been hit pretty hard by some of the transits that we've had, especially in around these particular archetypes, and with your leader. just because of the eclipse patterns that we've had, and they create a lot of change. I'm not going to geek out on you all and go all into I'm going to try and speak in plain English, but wherever the eclipse pattern is in our chart, it hits two houses that are directly across from one another. And these are agitate areas of life. Like if you are, if you put the jeans in the washing machine, right, it cleans them, but man, they go for one heck of a ride. Okay. That's how these areas of life. And when you have planets in those areas of life, it's about growth, both, material and sort of worldly growth, and also this deep spiritual growth. But it means you have to let go of some things, and it means that you might get distracted and chase shiny objects and get a little too entangled in the physical world as well. But and so some of those shifts that you have been having are shifting out, I want to say, because the nodes of the moon are changing. But I want to say that all of your archetypes within the last 3 years, up until just really recently, have gone through major, major changes. So when you're doing that much change, just think about it. When we change, they say the biggest stressors are if you change job, change house, right? And then throw a relationship change on top of that too, and your whole world is upside down. When we go through these big times of change, it's hard to know exactly where we're going, right? It's hard to know exactly where we're going and what we should be doing. So with that change, you've been letting go of some things, and my sense is that you've gotten a lot clearer about where you want to go. You have this great honorable warrior who you have got to be taking a stand for something. And it's not about pushing against what's not, you don't see as right, so much as standing even stronger for what you believe is true and is right. And I just want to reinforce in you that you have a gift for that, and you have a place for that. And what really distinguishes an honorable warrior compared to just a warrior is you're taking your direction from the divine. And at whatever level, you're taking your direction from a higher source and serving, the greater good. And that's what a true honorable warrior is. A warrior just, and just pushes against things. But this is such a powerful combination, especially the artist and honorable warrior with you, because you have this creative side. If you have you're on media, you're on your TV, you've got websites, you're looking at things from different angles. You have this inner call to stand out in the world and be an honorable warrior. And really an honorable warrior, not just taking your direction from the divine, but for the divine, with some of the things that you're taking a stand for in this world. And, there's probably some of that, who am I? And, will this really be received? Well, you're always going to have pushback. And if you actually have pushback, that you're always going to get some pushback if you're really on the truth. It's, it just is. But I just want to say that you taking a stand for what you are taking a stand for, both with the ISNN, with your work with the channeling, you really want to make sure that your artist is working with you. And I see that in the film. I see that in the, you've got to do writing that has to do with this. You've got to do, you're using the imagery, you're using media. That's all the artistic form. But I want to say to you to just make sure with all the nitty gritty you have to do that you don't squeeze out your gifts as an artist, because you're really gifted and you have a way of getting the message across, whether you're adding entertainment to it, or that you're bringing it across on such a beautiful platform, or you're artistically weaving the information and the people together. That's what draws us in, so that we can actually, come in and actually listen to you. But if you get too enmeshed in all, just editing it's just, and I know because I've created some film, it's a lot of minutia. And so those are the things the pieces that wear you out, you're going to need to start to look at where you can let go of those, or bring someone in it's their gifts and it juices them to do that. Otherwise, you're going to dry up. So I'm going to pause for a moment because I've been saying a lot of things. So is what I'm saying making sense to you, and what's coming up for you?
Absolutely, it does. Especially, as someone in this community, in our community, that's actually taken a stand with the first type of documentary to go and stand up against the darkness in this community with the Richard Baldwin documentary. so many others that I'm going to do, but to do it in the right way. There's no way that I could ever go against someone, and unless it was done in the right way. I mean, that I've learnt the hard way to try to put that spiritual message in the documentary as well. So no matter what this person's done, there is always light within this person, no matter how terrible that their crimes are, and also that there's always a lesson in there. There's always a lesson. If we can put that in there as well, that's important. Working for the divine, most definitely. I'm trying to. Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. Yeah, yeah.
And any questions about anything I've said so far?
No, you're right. I mean, I can see my career completely shifting from just doing the interviewing style that I'm doing to moving to something very different, especially with a news network. And yeah, you're right. You just cannot do it all. You just cannot do it all. I mean, you'd need a team for that, most definitely. But the biggest thing in this field is getting something that's able to support itself. And I think that for a news network, that's a completely different foundation. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That you need a marketing person and someone to sell advertising for you. I mean, and the right kind of advertising and all of that. But I also do want to say that I can tell and I can see in your field that there are people who would support a project like that. And because there's the message you're bringing across is ringing true and other people are aware of, but it's it's dicey ground. Not everybody has that honorable warrior who can step into that and that leadership ability to step into that arena, but would be happy to support the leader in you, because you are very much of a leader, and that's that other loyal, purposeful leader archetype you have that would really get behind you. And that's both from that could be from venture capital, and I'm tapping into what
Sure.
I'm sensing. That also could be from some kind of paid representation. That could people that benefits the people who use that platform for that. I mean, remember that donation. I also see people who just on a level of being able to. So I want to encourage you to start to open up to that. Yeah, I want to encourage you to start to really open up to that.
It would be like a Russia today, where it's not just it's not just news all the time, which it would be news, of course, but it's also documentaries and other things. But it's really from a completely different standpoint. It's we would look at all subjects. We would look at a lot of different subjects that are newsworthy. It wouldn't just be maybe even our field. It would be maybe other fields as well. But always from that spiritual perspective. Yeah, something very different.
And isn't it true, though, if we're really, in the best case scenario, a news network, we would be learning, right? So the things that you could bring lots of things across that would help educate, open up awareness for people.
Oh gosh, yes, yeah.
And so that of course, there's a lot that could be part of that.
The weirdest thing where that came from was back in. I was living in Amsterdam, in a place called Almere, just outside Amsterdam, and this guy came on my show who gave me a future life progression, and that's where that name came from.
I love it. So remember, think news and education. There's a lot in that platform there. That's a very robust platform and one with a lot of integrity.
It's funny what you say, because every time I've ever mentioned that to anyone, whether I'm passing through in person doing an interview or wherever it's been, they've always said, "Oh my God, that's such a great idea," and I've kind of just shelved it. But I don't know what it was about this year. This year, it's sort of come back to haunt me in a way.
Well, this year, one of the things that's happened for you, and in a Sacred Wealth Code reading, I don't go through all the transits. I really try to stay on the Sacred Wealth Code because there's so much we can look at. But one of the things that has happened for you with the deep changes that I was talking about is your leader, that part of you that is a leader, and you're super loyal. And I just want to say you have to be careful of being too loyal. I'm always going to bring the light and the shadow side in here. So because you could stay loyal to things, to projects, to people, and to what you've taken a stand for in leading beyond its, to where it's not an equal energy exchange for you. We have to really look at that. And we're in a time of really just collectively, we've got to look at where's that equal energy exchange. And we could be talking, money, resources, whatever, but it's all boils down to energy. So if you're left worn out or if you're the one holding the bag. But one of the things that's happened with this change is you're changing, and your soul is changing at a deep level over this last year and a half, and your awareness has actually been pulled out in the world more, and through that being pulled out in the world more, you're really having to differentiate what's yours to do, what's yours to take a stand for, what's yours to get involved in, and it's the problem would be in the material world is things get complicated really easy, and we can get intoxicated with things. And so we've got to always come back and say, okay, is this in alignment with my purpose? Is this in alignment with my mission? And so that you can weigh those choices against it, because it's so easy to get pulled in different directions. So I think the things that you have going on are pretty much running in the same direction, except for this interview series. This is not juicing you, although there will be a platform for this on the ISNN if you choose to, which
it's funny you say that. Yeah, I knew that was going to be I always thought to myself, the more show will just be a show that continues on the ISNN platform, but it won't be it will happen, but not all the time.
Well, and there may be other people who step into that format too.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't have to be. You don't have to, do it all. You might be doing a story about, someone in particular, and you're like, oh, they need to be interviewed, and there's somebody else on the team who jumps in and but you just interview who you really want to interview, because the thing is, you have to stay in your inspiration. If you don't stay passionate, you will get pissy, my dear. So that's that honorable warrior. So you have to be in your passion. Again, that's the second pillar in the Sacred Wealth Code. You have to be in your passion.
I do get pissy. You're right. No, I do, and I don't like that. I do. Yeah.
But then that just lets you know that, oh, I am not connected to my passion now. I'm too in my from the neck up, and I'm too attached to what should have been done yesterday. The impatience kicks in, or just feeling too, sort of burdened by it all. And you have a lot of drive, and you can do a lot of things, but you will eventually burn out unless you stay very connected to your passion. So I know you want to move all these things forward, and I know you want to create more wealth, including monetary wealth, including the financial wealth. And it feels to me when I look at you like you have really been shouldering the burden of all of this on your own. And again, as I said before, I want to encourage you. I'd like for you to make again, I work with clients, and we work on their businesses or their projects or whatever over 6 months, a year's time. But I would encourage for you as an exercise to just do a stream of consciousness, preferably after this, while you're still in the energy of all the places, just really tapping into your heart and all the places where possibly you could open up to more financial flow right now. And I mentioned some earlier, by sharing what you're doing without giving any of the creative license away, because that's the part you have to always hold on to. Does that make sense? But there's more money around you than you're sort of letting in right now, and there's an old money story that you've got going on that needs to be cleared. I'm going to say that. Yeah. So I have to tell you something else that's very important for you, out of many things. Again, let me just
Sure.
I always encourage people to really connect in with their own high value gifts, and I give them a way to do that, and I like to collaborate on that, and really hone in on the top 2 or 3. So I want to give you a clue on a couple of things here. Your leader, that part of you that is a leader, you are this is loyal and sort of family oriented type of leadership. I mean, you really care about your people, and you could certainly direct that towards caring about your team. But it's also in we have lunar mansions. We have another aspect in Vedic astrology, so I can look at it even deeper. And this is in a really auspicious, this is your soul, this is your sun, this is your actual money planet. The sun is, which is your purposeful leader. And it's in a very auspicious placement, meaning that it's in a very spiritual and very benefic, like good things happen to you, good things come to you. You just always have to make sure that you make it not just about you. So I don't mean like you're selfish, but again, you hold things pretty close and you take responsibility for a lot of things. And so we just need you to open up some, and like create a bigger family for, because it's there for you. Okay. You can't just, the sun sometimes wants us to individuate too much. In fact, I just did a blog sort of about this energy. Yeah. But the other thing is you have to be seen. You have to be a little bit of a celebrity, okay? And you're doing that through the interviews. So there will be a place you have to continue to do that because you need a stage, a platform to be seen on. And if you don't get that, you'll create drama in your life and you will be seen in ways that you don't want to be seen. So I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but you're creating these platforms, so that's a good thing, and you want to make sure you're standing on them in the right way. And I get that you are, because you have this energy with your artist and your honorable warrior and this communicator part of you that is very it's very regal. That's the best way I could say it. You're building a kingdom. I mean, look at your projects. You're building a kingdom, and a king knows that he is successful because of the people that also support and also help him. So again, I won't hit that anymore. Your artist has this amazing ability to the creativity. You just have this really wonderful ability to see things and put some of the uncommon together, and and it's really great because it's progressive and very timely. I want to say, you're not trying to get us to pay attention to these spiritual things through oil painting, and I love oil painting, but you're really kind of on that sort of cutting edge of the times and how you can weave together. So everyone shows their artist in different ways, but I think you have a real eye for constantly seeing the different puzzle pieces, and how, like if you were doing you would be a mixed media, instead of an oil painter, but you are sort of doing mixed media anyway. And you've got to let that flag fly for yourself. You really have to. This, even though very much you are on a solo journey in a lot of ways because of the way you're wired and this leadership journey. But again, I just can't stress enough how much you have to take off your plate. Hold what is so dear to you and get some people in for the pieces that could be dear to them but are really bogging you down, or else it's going to be really tough. The soul cycle you're in, I don't always go into that in these readings, but I have to tell you, this is a hard cycle for you. It's ruled by the planet Saturn. It's the organizer in your chart, and Saturn slows things down. It's one of the most spiritual planets, actually. And I have a very strong Saturn, and I've lived through my Saturn cycle, and you have entered your Saturn cycle. And it makes things go slower than you want them to go. It also, it makes you come face to face with your responsibilities, and you tend to be over-responsible. Well, Saturn makes us over-responsible, and because of this configuration you have, it happens for you. So what needs to happen is you have to remember that as long as you're staying on your purposeful path with Saturn, it'll pay you with interest in the end, as long as you walk your purposeful path. But anywhere you step off your path, you're going to get taken down a little bit. You're going to be asked to let go. And fear can come up in that as well. So, but Saturn is wanting to remind us we can't take any of this with us. This is all ephemeral. And we got to live and play full out as if it wasn't. It's a really kind of tricky spot here. And Saturn often feels very alone. So, and you're wired up to go fast. So you're really in the last 3 years really feeling, and probably 4 years, this stretch of, and trying to find a new equilibrium.
Oh my God, yes.
That's what I want to support you in doing.
Oh my God, yes.
So the way you do that, and it's frustrating for you, is it not?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, come July of this year through about, yeah, for about a year, because that until 2020, until about August of 2020, it's going to hit another level for you. You're going to run probably one of the most spiritual cycles you could run. It's Saturn, and it's the south node of the moon, Saturn K2. Saturn, and in my system, it's going to be the organizer, administrator with the mystic. And you're going to run that. And this is how I see karma play out, or timing, I want to say. So I'm looking at your soul cycle, and I'm seeing Saturn and K2 together. And then I see in the heavens right now, because I'm not just going to look at a piece of paper, I'm watching the transits. The transits are Saturn and K2, as we speak, are just moving together for the next year and a half. So that's when I see the timing of certain things play out. And it's happening in your house of health, okay? Health and effort and work. This is a really interesting placement. In a way, it's a good place for it to be, because I want to say challenging aspects do well in this part of the chart. I want to make sure that if you exceed your limits on the energy you put out, you're going to feel it in your health. So again, you really need to stay in top form for what you're doing, because you're taking on a lot. So you again want to support yourself in that. One of the constant questions you want to ask yourself is, this my responsibility? And if it's not, don't take it on. You don't have to walk down the street with a piano on your back. You actually just have to put it down if it's not your piano, okay? And you are going to get some very deep insights over the next year. It's going to be a very intuitive time for you, but you also could have the sense of really wanting to pull away and isolate. And I don't want you to do that. You could be, that will pull you behind the scenes in your projects even more, which will help you get stuff done. But that perception of you being alone will cut you off from all the support that's around you. So I want you to tap into the support, and we've talked about some of the ways for you to do that. You need to find team, and you can start with one person. Invite investors, invite resources in for yourself to create some more, what you can have done that you don't have to do. And I want you to make sure that you give yourself time in all of this. I'm someone who has a meditation practice and a yoga practice, and I walk in nature, and that's my thing. But you have got to have some inward time, because you're going to get really deep insights. You'll get them while you walk down the street, and you're also going to get them if you have that bandwidth to just quiet down. And so if you're wondering how the pieces are going to fit together, go out for a walk, get out of the scene, because the information is going to drop in for you. Again, this is a very spiritual and very transcendent part of the cycle that you are coming into. And right now you're finishing up a part of the cycle that has to do very much with how you are a communicator, which is interesting that you're going to you're going to shift the interview platform. And I would suggest that, feel free to shift the interview platform anytime now. You're not going to lose the momentum I think that you're afraid of losing. It'll actually free you up to a certain degree. Does that make sense to you?
It does, yes, it does. Wow. Very interesting. Yeah, because I'm probably hitting the road for 3 months again soon, across the US.
Where are you going?
From JFK all the way over to Marin County. Kansas, Chicago, Washington D.C., New Jersey.
If you come to Seattle, you have to come see me, okay?
Okay. Oh, that's where you are. Oh, yeah. I am actually looking to come to Seattle. Yes.
So make sure you connect with me. So okay. in your tour of the states, what are you doing on your tour?
Well, I'm filming for the Richard Baldwin documentary, okay. And possibly getting footage. Oh yeah, just finishing some filming off for the channeling documentary, and just filming for some other documentaries. But I'm going to be, vlogging that process, and it's just like, oh man, how am I going to start this international news network when I'm going to be on the road? But
Well, let's look at a date. Let's look at a date of when it's really the time to start that. Because
Yeah.
you do need to finish up these two projects, right?
Yes, I do. The channeling documentary is a big documentary, and the Richard Baldwin one is not as big, of course, and but it needs finishing off, and that's why I'm coming back over to finish the filming for both of them, and then what I've got to do is edit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to start the ISNN by just setting the intention to start it. Okay, like you're making the commitment to start it, and you're going to obviously energetically open up to it. Maybe talk to some people, about it. You're going to be meeting a lot of people in your travels, so let's form it from first the intention level and the spiritual level, and then from there, through you connecting with the right people about it. And as you finish up these documentaries, like you're going to taper into it. It's not like, so you will be starting it by talking about it. I'm also going to give you my conscious creation training from my business academy, and there's meditation and stuff that goes with that, and we'll start working on it from the inside. You don't want to start anything that you haven't gotten into the field and really gone to 0 point and gone to oneness with and created it there. So you're not creating it from 3D, that you're actually it'll be so much easier. So you can work on it so much internally, and then through your what I see for you is through your filming, you're going to start to connect with some of these people I'm talking about. Or you're going to go, oh, I want that for the ISNN, and you'll do a clip or something.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because two of the, yeah, it's funny you say all that. Yeah. People that I'm journeying with on the journey, I've just found, I've just been working with people on the documentary, and these are people that have all said to me, when you start that ISNN, let me know, because that's something we'd love to be a part of. And I'm like, wow, yeah, a lot more people would want to be a part of the ISNN than any other project I've ever done, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have two pieces of homework, and I if you will do them in the next 24 hours, because of the energy we opened, so much will download. It'll be super simple.
Okay.
And that's the first homework I gave you about the people who could possibly, all the different ways that money could possibly come to you, or for the projects. And I'm going to say projects, but with ISNN, I want you to also just do a stream of consciousness of all the people that come up for you that have showed some interest, and just make a list. Just make a list.
But I want it to be my project. You know what I mean? But I want to share it.
I do. I know you do. You're going to have to share it with us, though, or it won't get off the ground.
No.
So
Okay.
So that's the other piece of the laying the framework of the intention around it is, it is your idea, and it is your project. We were never meant to do anything alone. There's some things we do alone, okay? But there's nothing big that's ever been really done alone. You need to step into your gifts. And this is something we would work on if we were working together, of really, truly stepping into your leadership.
Right.
Leadership isn't just owning it all and doing it yourself. That's independence.
Yes.
And that's, again, there's only so much we can do. But leadership is knowing who to trust, and also teaching others to lead themselves, but be on a common mission. So there's some patterns in there for you to clear, just around that.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. At least I'm honest. I mean,
You are. Look at that. I
Yeah.
appreciate your vulnerability.
Yeah.
We all are. We all have a lot to get over about ourselves. And the more we do, we get out of the way, so that what needs to come through can come through.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
if just imagine this: if you were hung up, and I'm not saying you are,
Yeah.
but if you were hung up on the ISNN being just your own, and that kept you from actually getting it off the ground, compared to all the good it could do by getting up off the ground if you let some other people in on it.
Yeah, well, it would probably do a lot of people a lot of good, and especially to see the news from a spiritual perspective. And when I had that future life progression, it wasn't me in the end reading the news. I wasn't doing any. I was in the background in the end for that. Yeah.
Well, that's you're in the you're leading the vision, and you'll be on to the next vision because you also have, we didn't even talk about your visionary. You also have a very spiritual visionary in your chart, and it's very intellectual. So you're going to do it. You're going to be in that abstract realm. You're going to be perceptual and uh, and intellectual in that way. And but that visionary is always going to want to be creating a new vision. So if you don't have the bandwidth for creating a new vision, that's going to frustrate you. And if you're just creating new visions but not being able to live into the right ones, that'll frustrate you. You're dealing with some of that now. So you need to learn how to, like someone who, like, you've been to the circus where they spin plates. You have to, you've got the idea. You get the idea as the plate. You get that plate up there. You do what it takes to get it up there, and then you've got a team that's helping it spin, and you move on to the next one. You have to go back and put some energy into it to keep it going, but then you have enough bandwidth to start the next thing, and so forth. You have things to create, and you need to stay on the road to creation.
Yeah, and I need to vlog it as well. I need to vlog it. I need to create daily vlogging content as well. I know I need to shift into that as well.
Well, do you need to, or do you want to?
I think it's wise to do something like that as well. I just think it's wise to create content, and I'm not creating
great content all the time. I hear you.
Yeah. I am not creating enough content, and I think even to vlog my journey of how I got to where I was going, would be helpful for someone. And
and right now, why not even just? I'm a big, and again, I work with a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs. I'm big at is just use the material you're creating right now, so here's a little snippet of what I'm working on, oh, here's me, I'm trying to get between these two films, and here I am another day of, and here's what's on the editing room floor, but and how about your journey? How about just like documenting your journey you're going to be taking?
And each vlog would have a spiritual concept in there. Do you know what I mean? What's today's
exactly.
What's today's message? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I could even say, just being really authentic and real about it. And some days you might even go, tomorrow I'll be telling you what today's message is because it hasn't come through yet. Just being really authentic about it. Don't overthink this. You just need to be you.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So has this been helpful?
Very, very helpful. Very helpful. And I hope that obviously, I've got a big PDF that you've sent me over with many pages for this reading, so you get that as well. And I thank you for demonstrating what this reading can be and the possibility of it. I just can't thank you enough, for doing this for us. I really do appreciate for doing this and for doing this for the audience as well.
Yeah, it was totally my pleasure. I thank you for the honor of doing what I love to do. Like, I'm energized, and this is joyful. This is part of my passion and my purpose here. And it's also an honor to get to support you. And thank you for being just so open and so vulnerable, because, vulnerability is really strength, because it shows when we are open. And all of us, I don't care where you are on the path, we're struggling with stuff, and we're doing stuff, and it's all part of this crazy spiritual human journey we're on.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Totally my pleasure. Thanks for having me.